Before you get started on any project, it's important to know as much about the project and the objective of the story before you start cutting. So, of course, reading the script is critical, and if there is a rough cut that might have been created on set, you should watch that just to get a sense of the flow of the story as the director envisioned it. Now, I'm going to quickly scrub through this rough cut and talk about some of the highlights that we're going to be covering. And before I do that, I'm going to go ahead and turn off something called scrubbing. It's right over here. It's just so you don't hear the sound as I move my cursor across the timeline. You can leave this on because you might like to use it while editing, while some other editors find it distracting and they just turn it off from the very beginning. Now, the first scene we're going to look at and cut is this introductory scene, a dialogue scene that creates the conflict at the beginning of the story arc. The conflict will then build throughout the story until we get to the resolution. The next thing we look at is building a montage and why we would want to use a montage, and we'll go through the steps there, and it's a transitional scene into our third scene, which again increases the conflict and the drama of the story. So we'll be looking at this scene, which is actually a multi-camera scene that we're going to shoot. There's also a flashback scene involved in this story, and I'm going to look at some alternatives to making it look like it took place in the past. Now, my end result is different than what they did on set in this rough cut where they went to black and white. So if you notice a discrepancy, don't worry. Every editor will envision something differently. And finally, we'll look at the resolution of the arc and some color correction that will bring the story full circle. So go ahead, if you haven't already watched it, watch the long rough cut, read the script, and get perspective on what you're about to edit.